Thank you very much, and very welcome to the city of Bilbao. I'm delighted because the symbol that you have, it is very supportive of our football team. As you may know, it is white and red, so please be aware that if you get the symbol, perhaps you are tempted to have some issues with the Roma supporters. So just to let you know. So thank you very much for coming here. Just a couple of things. You are nowadays in the Basque country. Probably you will be mixed with different type of languages. We speak both Basque and Spanish, and at least you need to go back with a couple of words in Basque language. So we say good morning. We say egunon. So nothing in common with that is said in Spanish. That is buenos días. So it is totally different language, as I said. So for my remarks, so distinguished colleagues, esteemed researchers and value partners, it is a great pleasure to welcome you all in Bilbao, in the Basque region, the Basque country, for this pivotal gathering under the EU-JAMRAI 2 initiative. As Director of Health Research, Innovation and Assessment of the Ministry for Health of the Basque Government, and on behalf of the Vice Minister, Enrique Peiro, unfortunately, he was not able to come today, and he is a well-known epidemiologist in the community. He has been pretty much involved in PROA. He has been pretty much involved in WOAH, and he was the head of public health of the Basque Health Service. So unfortunately, he was not. So you need to stand for the person that is instead of him. So. I'm honored to open this meeting where we unite in a shared commitment, strengthening our collective response to antimicrobial resistance and safeguarding the future of public health. Healthcare authorities, as it is my case, play a crucial role in this fight. We are responsible not only for setting policies, but also for ensuring their effective implementation. It is our duty to integrate scientific evidence into health systems, promote responsible antimicrobial use, and invest in innovative solutions that protect both present and future generations. The Basque government is deeply committed to this mission, advancing policies that enhance infection prevention, strengthen surveillance systems, and improve public awareness. In the face of growing AMR threats, we cannot afford to work in silos, although we need to be very conscious of the context. Collaboration between healthcare authorities, researchers, clinicians, and policymakers is essential. Initiatives like EU-JAMRAI provide a vital platform to align strategies, share best practices, and reinforce the regulatory frameworks that drive responsible antimicrobial stewardship across Europe. The challenge ahead is significant, and perhaps with the new challenges that we are facing this year, much more, even having some responsibles in some big countries that are against vaccination and other type of things. But with a strong governance, coordinated action, and a firm commitment to public health, we can make a lasting impact. I encourage all of you to engage in meaningful discussions, explore innovative solutions, and reinforce the critical role that health authorities must play in tackling AMR. Thank you for your dedication, and I wish you all a productive and inspiring meeting. And I will conclude also with another two words in Basque, that is, thank you, eskerrik asko.
Thank you very much. Velina from the European Commission, can I invite you to come on up and do your speech? Are you doing it together? Okay. Yeah. Introduce yourselves, please. Julia, you are? Okay. Right.
Morning to everyone. My name is Velina Pendolovska. I work in Directorate General Health and Food Safety of the European Commission, and I'm together today with my colleague Julia Langer, also working for us. I would first like to thank Spain for hosting us here today. It's a lovely, lovely place, and it's wonderful to be able to meet all of you in face-to-face. And I would also like to thank France, of course, for being the coordinator of this call. We had a few slides to show you. The intention of my speech was to remind all of us, first of all, why we are doing this. I'm not sure whether we will get the slides. And what am I supposed to do?
Just point there, and the slides will move.
Well. Oh, okay, there we are. Okay, so there we are. So why are we doing this? So some of you may have seen already some of the information on the slides, but I'll try to skip through the policy things quickly. So, next. No. Sorry, not working? No, still not? So this is a photo of our new Commissioner for Health, and the good news is that in the mission, so-called mission letter that the President of the European Union gave to Mr. Várhelyi, is antimicrobial resistance is still a continued priority, and this is something that we had from the last Commission, and we're pleased to see that it is still a priority. Well, pleased is not the right way to put it, because it's still a threat. And it's important that we recognize it and that we keep a political momentum to tackle it. You know, sometimes it's referred to as a silent pandemic, but it shouldn't be the case. On this slide, I am showing back to the early 2000s when the community at the time started work on antimicrobial resistance, and to recall that we have had at EU level initiatives to tackle it through a One Health approach. This is most notably our existing European One Health Action Plan from 2017, which is still valid. And the very last bullet here on this slide is the action that we took in 2023, so not so long ago from now, which is the Council recommendation. That was the latest, most significant policy initiative at EU level. And I have here on this slide the main areas of the Council recommendation. I will not read them out, you can do that for yourself, but I hope you see something that is very, very, how can I say, congruent with JAMRAI. Lo and behold, surprise, surprise. The main tenets that we have under the Council recommendation are, in fact, the work packages that you have in JAMRAI. And that is not surprising, that was intentional. Because for us, when we put the proposal for a Council recommendation, we also considered how we could help support the implementation of all these actions. And this was the investment on the EU for Health that we had with JAMRAI, which you are currently working on. And throughout the course of the day, we would be more than happy to hear where you stand on all the different work packages and activities. I give the floor now to Julia, also on the international front.
Hi, also a very warm welcome from me. It's a pleasure to be with you here in the beautiful Basque country. So as EU, obviously, we're also supporting member states and participating in the international developments on AMR. Last year was a really big year on the international scene with the UN high-level meeting on AMR in New York, and it saw the outcomes of a political declaration. And just to kind of highlight a few of those, countries committed to 10% reduction in global deaths based on the 2019 baseline levels. 70% of antibiotics should be coming from the Aware Access Group. And 90% of countries should meet the WHO IPC requirements, and 80% of countries should be able to test and feed data into WHO's GLASS system. The UNGA declaration also foresaw a few follow-up actions, so we set the ground for the years to come, including the Quadripartite to establish a new global action plan by 2026, the Quadripartite to establish the independent panel, for there to be an implementation report, and for there to be a high-level meeting in 2029. So already compared to the last UNGA declaration, there's very strong governance element and follow-up action. And this was also then followed up by the Jeddah Ministerial Conference in November last year. Here I just wanted to highlight a few of the other international developments that the EU is supporting. So one of them is our long-standing cooperation in the Transatlantic Task Force on AMR. So this is a cooperation initiative that was launched by the EU and the United States, and since grew to include Canada, Norway, and the UK. 2023 we hosted the in-person meeting. The current geopolitical situation is a little bit difficult, as you know. The US are keeping a low profile, but we're in touch with all the other countries. At EU level, we also have the EU Global Health Strategy, which includes AMR elements. And as EU, we are also participating in the G7 and G20, where there's a long track history of AMR in those paths. Again, the Canadian presidency is having a bit of a low profile this year, given the geopolitical situation. And South Africa has so far not included AMR in this year's health tract in the G20, but we have asked for it to be included. And I also want to acknowledge the ongoing negotiations for a pandemic agreement under the WHO. So EU is negotiating on behalf of the EU member states in Geneva. And okay, negotiations are ongoing. It's been a tough ride, but we do have one article on prevention and a subparagraph that includes AMR. And while the EU was maybe a bit more ambitious and wanted stronger provisions, we need to acknowledge that this would be the first legally binding provisions at international level that would go beyond, political declarations. So we need to also highlight some of the successes there. Okay, so where do we stand at EU level? So just to kind of, I know ECDC will highlight a few elements later as well, but just to kind of show again that we have over 800,000 infections with antibiotic-resistant bacteria in the EU and EA. Over 35,000 deaths are attributable to AMR, and there's more than 1 million DALYs lost due to AMR. And more than 70% of those are linked to other healthcare-associated infections. And I know OECD will also be coming in later, but we are also supporting some of their work. And especially around the economic burden, we wanted to highlight that this is around 11.7 billion euros, on the international scene. And also kind of one thing we also always want to highlight is that the cost of investing really does make a difference. So investing just 3.4 per capita per year will have significant improvements. So it's always important to highlight the cost savings that you can make by investing.
Thank you, Julia. So the issue is here, and I'm going to come now to where we stand when it comes to our targets. So 2 years in, after the Council recommended these targets, this is the state of play. And as you can see, it's a mixed picture. We have slight dip there when it comes to consumption. Hopefully we can get it up on the right track again. We are doing relatively well when it comes to MRSA. E. coli, resistant to third-generation cephalosporins, well, hopefully it can pick up, but look at the last one. The last one is carbapenem resistance. And we are going to be discussing this on Friday, in fact, in the Health Security Committee, because this is a serious threat. And we need to take further action. It has shot up 60%, and for some countries, it's triple digits increases. So we are sincerely hopeful that also through JAMRAI, we can help address this issue because it's very serious and it's there. And the very last bottom line is the target when it comes to the animal health side and where we're expecting new data. The methodology for collecting the data was changed, and we're expecting very soon the new data published by EMA. So the usual question that we get is, what is the Commission doing about it? Even though I have to say a large part of this ball, if you allow me to use another football analogy, is in your court, especially in public health. So we're looking forward to hear what you are doing also about it. But what is the Commission doing? What are we doing at EU level about it? So this is a lot of information on this slide. I've already been given the yellow signal that I should be quicker, so I won't read everything. But if I can just summarize a few developments. In public health in particular, we revised the health security legislation in the aftermath of COVID. And now AMR and healthcare-associated infections are part of the whole cycle of prevention, preparedness, and response planning that we have at EU level, including the so-called public health emergency preparedness assessment visits that are carried out by ECDC. They are coming to all member states to look at capacities at national level, and AMR are part of that. So we hope this will also help to strengthen national level capacities. We have also established now for the first time public health EU reference laboratories in public health, and one of them is on AMR. It's already operational. On the animal health side, as I said, this is now the first year of reporting under the new rules, and there is a work ongoing on legal acts to restrict certain uses of antimicrobials and measures for safer use, for more prudent use. We had also commissioned our agencies to produce a report on the threat of azoles when it comes to azole-resistant aspergillus, and that came out. Our agencies delivered. And last but not least, the environment. There is a lot of work already. There's work under the recast Urban Wastewater Directive, how to monitor AMR in wastewater, and other work going in other areas of environment. And I think my very last slide was to remind you of the funding that we have, and I'll stop here because I'm over the time limit. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, all right. Thank you. Javier, over to you. Let's hear from the World Organization of Animal Health.
Good morning, everyone. So my name is Javier Yugueros-Marcos, and apparently my family name, it's an old Basque word, so now you have a third word to retain. And it seems to mean new house, but it seems that I come somehow to my old house because I come originally from Spain. I'm speaking today on behalf of the Quadripartite organizations, and as it was presented before, in October the 7th, 2024, the United Nations member states adopted the political declaration from the high-level meeting on antimicrobial resistance as part of their global health and foreign policy agenda during the General Assembly. That was the second political declaration of its kind, and it was intended to accelerate multisectorial progress at all levels through the One Health approach and sector-specific interventions. Today, 2025, the world is dramatically changing, and the multilateralism, the foreign policies and global health agendas are fading out. Recognition of urgent global health threats and development challenges, as well as the achievement of the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals, are under danger. So I do not want to just, as they say in French, plomber l'ambiance, but this is the reality where we are living, and we have to know that even if the world has changed, the situation on AMR has not changed a bit. Their situation remains a danger with drug-resistant pathogens bringing jeopardy to our health systems and to our societies. Our colleagues from the European Commission presented the numbers for Europe, but the situation in the world is not less dramatic, with drug-resistant bacteria today claiming 1 million lives per year, constantly since 2020 and 2019. And if nothing is changing, they could claim 39 million lives by 2050. They will reduce the life expectancy by 1.8 years in the next decade, and I was really worried when I saw the carbapenem figures that were shown by the European Commission, because even though we can say that 2050 is far, these figures are getting closer to that reality that we were designing for 2050, and yet they are here. The economic impact of AMR is also dramatic, with increased healthcare expenses at the global level around 780 billion per year. And for the first time in 2024, we published data from a study evaluating the economic impact from AMR in food-producing animals. And even though today AMR might not be seen as a problem with mortality in animals, is yet provoking economical losses that, if not addressed, they will reach a level of 870 billion between 2025 and 2050. Whenever I'm saying all these figures, I always get dizzy with billions, etc., but just retain the billion figure. Because these reports, some reports published last year, they have shown that targeted interventions could save 100 million lives. And when I say targeted interventions, I refer to targeted interventions combining the development of new antibiotics, but not only that, but also the access to safe water, sanitation, hygiene, to improve healthcare and vaccination, especially in low and middle-income countries. Achieving a global reduction of 30% in the use of antimicrobials in animals will increase the global GDP by 110 billion. And there are many co-benefits by preventing and managing the pollution, including the cost savings due to addressing multiple threats at the same time. So, on behalf of the Quadripartite, and in case you do not know the Quadripartite, you can scan this QR code and get to know ourselves better. It's an alliance between 4 international organizations, FAO, UNEP, WHO, and WOAH, and we use this alphabetical order to design ourselves. And on behalf of the Quadripartite, I would like to really thank you, the JAMRAI 2 initiative, for their kind invitation, as well as to the Basque country for hosting us, Eskerrik asko. And we really thank you because of your commitment. In the international panorama or landscape that I have designed, it's really refreshing seeing this collaboration promoting interdisciplinary exchanges among countries, institutions, and sectors, as well as it's really encouraging to see your tireless efforts to safeguard the effectiveness of antimicrobials. When I say antimicrobials, or when we say antimicrobials, we usually talk about antibiotics, and nowadays we start to talk a little bit more about antifungals, but we do not have to forget that antivirals and antiparasitic drugs are under the same nature mechanism, and if we continue to use them irresponsibly, resistance will appear. So, sincerely, thank you. The commitments made in September, there are 45 commitments, if you have ever taken the time to count them. So 45 commitments with one ambitious goal, which is reducing the global mortality due to drug-resistant bacteria by 10% by 2030. And as it was mentioned before, all of them were reinforced by the 4th ministerial meeting that happened in Saudi Arabia in Jeddah. 45 is a long list, and I'm not going to name all of them. I'm just going to name 4, and I hope that this is going to trigger some sort of thoughts because of why is he mentioning this and not the other ones. So the ones that I want to mention are strengthening the health systems in humans and animals, including minimum requirements for infection prevention and control and biosecurity programs. Prevent and address the discharge of antimicrobials in the environment, foster the connection between the AMR national action plans and the national immunization strategies. It's not part of your work plan, but I encourage you to reconsider that, as well as strengthening the sustainable financing through existing structures. The why these 4 is because they emphasize the value of prevention, and prevention has been always reported by different reports, OECD, World Bank, etc., to be much more cost effective than treatment, and the actions around prevention could save us trillions in terms of investment. Because these targets also foster the creation of synergies with other agendas. If you look at the top 10 mortality causes from WHO, you will not see AMR in any of those, but you will see that drug-resistant bacteria is a risk for all of them, including cancer. So synergies with other agendas, it's important, as well as the sustainable collaboration and financing systems. In terms of quadripartite activities, we have also a series of assignments, and we are already working on the update of the Global Action Plan by 2026. With some priority areas to be included, such as the environmental interventions to prevent and manage the dimensions on AMR, the alignment with sector-specific initiatives such as FAO's AMR Action Plan and Rhinofarm, UNEP's AMR priorities, WOAH AMR strategies, as well as WHO strategic operational priorities for the health sector. We also want to emphasize the role of WOAH, water access, hygiene and sanitation, IPC, farm biosecurity and husbandry, as well as the role of civil society, because it's important. Even though democracies around the world are also falling, the voice of civil society and those who vote, it's important. So if they understand what is at stake, they will really help this agenda. We are also going to emphasize the role of the multi-stakeholder partnership platform, which today gathers 250 members. and representing 35 from the human sector, 25 from the environmental sector, and 10% from social and economic sciences. I think many of you would be, and I see the living red card coming up. So, one second. I think you would be interested in knowing where we are in terms of setting the independent panel on evidence for action. So we have a work plan which is going to be unveiled, I think, by the end of this week. And the work has already started with a landscape analysis. It will continue with an open and transparent consultation of member states as well as different stakeholders. Modalities of consultations are still under definition, but this will lead to the development of key guidance document with ask for written inputs for launch by the end of the year.
Thank you.
No.
One last word.
One last word. Usually, I used to quote Alexander Fleming, but I think he will be already tired in his tomb about all the things that are said from him. So what I just want to say is, once again, thank you for all your efforts. Your 7 key priorities are very important, especially because of they are paving a road. And we really wish you strength, courage, patience, and perseverance, because the road and the journey will not be easy. We count on you for a sustained political advocacy, as well as engaged public awareness, and you can count on Quadripartite partners to be part of your contributors.
Thank you very much.